don't get stuck to what you do. So I guess the saying is that have strong beliefs, loosely held.
You're listening to 15-Minute Mastery, a show that empowers you with insights from leading iGaming experts to enhance your personal or business performance. The show is brought to you by the AI-powered data analytics platform Blask and supported by tech-driven affiliate and media company Already Media, Lala Stars, the leading casino partnership program, and Next.io, the world's iGaming community. Hi everyone and welcome to 15-Minute Mastery. We got Klen-Kristofer Kaljulaid here with us today, a portfolio manager at Yolo Investments. Klen is an incredible individual and one of the smartest people I've ever worked with. This sentiment extends to the majority of folks at Yolo Investments who are simply awesome to collaborate with. But what makes Klen especially noteworthy and places him in our special guest category is his one unique achievement. Klen will be representing the Estonian judo team at the Olympics this year in Paris. To the best of my knowledge, and by the way, we should fact check this, he's the first and the only top iGaming executive who has managed to combine a professional career with excelling at the highest level in sports. I'd even say he's the paragon of what it means to balance both careers successfully. So hey Klen, it's really good to have you with us today.
Hi. I actually know that there's one person who has competed at the Olympics and is working in the industry, but I don't think anybody has done it at the same time that they're actually working.
Yeah, awesome, mate. So thanks a lot for the fact checking. So for this conversation, I think it's really fascinating to hear your story, about especially the transition from sports to business. How did you experience, as the professional judo fighter, shape your approach to business management and entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, they're one and the same. So I've always went into everything with the knowing that I'm not naturally talented, so I have to put a lot of effort in, and to do so you have to set some goals. So for me it's always been setting very simple goals, like an easy example would be the Olympic Games was like a longer term goal for me, and then I just make it into smaller pockets. A good example again, Olympic Games big goal, smaller steps is the competitions that I have to do, and then I go down to the micro and macro level. So what I need to do this week to achieve that long-term goal. And if I bring the same parallel over to the investments work, then the long-term goal for all of us here is to make Fund 2 a success, and then it goes down to smaller steps, which is to create a funnel that we get great deal flow, and then it boils down from that to actually the day-to-day effort that we have to put in to actually get this deal flow and to make this a success.
I think, if you go back in time to, some of the world's largest companies, I absolutely love what, folks at Google did with the OKR system. Guys at Intel did the same with the OKR. I think, your approach of, getting it down to a small bits is essentially, anything which you can apply in any industry, any niche, probably even any function in any company. And it gets me to the point where I think, you started applying some of the things you learned at sports, especially I think the disciplines, discipline itself, as you mentioned. So what what key disciplines or mindsets from your judo career have you found the most beneficial in your role as the portfolio manager at Yolo Investments?
It's impossible to wake up every morning and think you have to get to the Olympics. It's much more easier to just think that you have to get to the training and to 30-minute run, 30-minute gym, whatever that is. And the same applies in business. But I think a big switch happened for me when I realized that the only reason to keep doing what I do is when I love it. And after that, I think the first thing I noticed was that everything became much easier. So if you actually love the process, it isn't like work, it's enjoyable. So I've told this to Tim many times that I would do this work here for free, and I feel the same about judo. So the first thing is you need to love the process, and after that it's quite easy to structure everything around it. So in my case, I wake up at 7 in the morning to come to training. I live 1 minute from the office, which was a conscious decision. I never cook because it takes too much time. I never drive. I just use Bolt to go everywhere. So it's just a lot of sacrifices that I've made, but I don't think of them as sacrifices because that's my decision to do them. So I very much enjoy what I do, and I'm just structured it around so that I can do those things. And I don't think it's limited to me. Like, I think anybody who wants to do this could do this.
Wow, I absolutely love it, what you just mentioned. And I think, Bill Gates, he once mentioned exactly that, saying, he sacrificed everything, beyond work, not thinking about cooking, not thinking about what things to wear, not thinking about, cleaning the house. And I think this is where it allows you to really kind of shape up your like a pure performance mindset and to be able to extract the maximum amount of value of yourself. And it gets me to the point, like you mentioned, it is a suffering, right? But do you think there is a way, like a healthy way, I guess, on how to balance, both of these like high performance career, whether in your case, this is like sports and business at the same time, but, for many people listening out there, this could be like, multiple projects at the same time or, work-life balance or probably, career and the family life. So what could be your advice on how to balance like two high performance careers at the same time?
If you want it, like if you truly want it, then it's not that hard to balance things. I don't think it's you don't need, as I said at the beginning as well, I'm definitely not talented in any sense. Like when I started off in judo, I was never winning. I would say average, and the only thing that actually separated me from the others was consistency. So a lot of people can put in massive amounts of work in 1 week or maybe 1 month or maybe 1 year, but I did it for 20 years. And I would say like for 15 of those 20 years, people would have said that I will never get to the Olympics, that I just don't have what it takes. But it's just like compound interest over time. You just at some point reach a level where you are good enough.
Your mindset and this like pure embrace the grind approach is the right way forward. And I think your persona and the way how you kind of embrace the leadership, not really thinking about okay, I want to do something, but you want to be the best, you want to be able to kind of perfect some of the moves you're making, right? You trying to perfect the business strategy you're taking, approaches you're taking, etc. So I think it makes you like a great leader, and I think you're one of the probably the upcoming leaders of the iGaming industry. And I wanted to hear your thoughts on like how you can share like can you share insights on how the leadership in sports compares to like leadership in business, and what are the common challenges and how do you overcome them?
Mm-hmm. Yes, there's a great book by Simon Sinek called Start With Why, and what makes that book so great is that usually you have to read through the book to get the nugget, but with this book you can just read the title and you basically get everything you need. And I guess that goes back to the love of the things. So I think you can make anybody happy doing what they do if you find the right game for them. So if they stop thinking about it as like an obligation and start enjoying what they do, I think all you need to provide after that is guidance and mentoring, and everything else just flows naturally. And I think the second point here is that I think the saying is that when all is said and done, more is always said than done. I've never looked up to people who talk a lot but don't do much. So I think leadership should also be leading by example. And here at Yolo, I think it's very evident that when you look at Tim, for example, he's like the epiphany of what a leader should be. He's actually here in the trenches with us, while he doesn't have to be here for a long time already.
Yeah, definitely. I think this part of your story is still unexplored for us in this episode. So I really wanted to hear your other part of the story. So working with with the goats of the industry, such as Tim, He's obviously taught you a lot of skills and probably a lot of like hidden skills, which are not easy to obtain, especially, understanding the business trajectory, understanding, the problems of the business. So I really wanted to hear like other part of Klen, like with your background and working with these many beautiful startups and companies, like what you find like probably the strategies you find the most effective for guiding the new startups for the greater heights.
Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, like the most crucial stage for a VC is to find the right founders. So that's the first decision point there. Do I want to own the equity of this founder? And I think if you nail that part right, then everything else is quite easy. So, of course, once we do invest, we bring a ton of experience, a ton of failures, pitfalls that the startups can avoid in the future. We also bring a very large commercial network, which means that we can open a lot of doors. And I think this goes back to Tim again. I think he's always had this mindset of being a guinea pig. So usually our B2C brands or even our B2B brands become clients of the startup as well. So we basically never just give money, but we bring some historical knowledge of what works and what doesn't work, and then we also become clients, which gives you very good feedback on the early stage of the product.
Well, I think the ecosystem you guys got probably can skyrocket most of the companies, from the early stage to at least like traction or at least, getting it to one of the market's leader positions. And I think you mentioned Tim a few times already. So I think like it sounds like his role, not only in the company, but for you personally, has brought a lot of value. So I really wanted to hear like, what do you think, mentorship and growth are closely tied to each other, and maybe you can explain a few ways on how you approach mentoring new startups at Yolo Investments, you personally or from the team side as well.
Yeah, I guess there's many very good mentors here at Yolo Investments. So I personally have Evert, I have Steve, I have Tim, I have Julian. So there's many people who are very willing to provide this guidance, and I think that's like very important. You can't force one to share their knowledge. I know from sports that it's oftentimes something that people like want to hold to themselves. They don't want to give this secret sauce, but I think it's very important for the longevity to share this. So when it comes to the startups, I think I touched upon that briefly already, that I think compared to other VCs, what we have is actually having been entrepreneurs ourselves, including myself. Before I joined here, I did have a startup. And we know what it takes. We know how hard it is to get traction at the beginning and so forth. So we do invest in the founder and his vision, but we're always there to guide him.
And like, is there any particular angle you guys are looking at the most right now, besides of the founder or his background? Do you look like attraction of the product and the company? Do you work on the visionary side of things, or what is like the main focus for you guys right now?
Yeah, so I guess like the biggest change for us has been that historically we've focused on early stage, and now with the launch of Fund 2, which is a €100 million fund, we're focused on later stage. I guess the like line in the sand for us is 1 million in revenues, and that does mean that we don't just look at the founders, we don't just look at the idea, but we do look at unit economics as well. So yeah, it depends on the vertical. Like iGaming and fintech are very different when it comes to multiples, for example. But yeah, we go quite deep into the unit economics and traction and so forth as well.
Yeah. I mean, looking at some of the world's most successful VC and accelerator companies, I'm a big fan of Paul Graham, Anderson Horowitz, all these guys, I think, like back in 2012, 2016, these guys were so into numbers, understanding cohorts, understanding the user behavior. I think, not many companies in iGaming are actually, looking this deep into the numbers, and it's really good to hear that you guys are at the forefront of our industry. So there is one more thing I want to ask you. Like you work with all these startup mentors, startups. You mentoring them, and you see a lot of, like as you mentioned, failures. You've seen a lot of successes as well. If there is just one advice you as Klen can give to like all these startup founders out there willing to get funded by Yolo Investments and get on board, just one piece of advice you can give to them.
Yeah, okay. It's twofold. So it's love what you do, and the second thing is that don't get stuck to what you do. So I guess the saying is that have strong beliefs, loosely held. So just to bring like a parallel here from training, I see a lot of guys do the same things over and over again. It's like when you're in kindergarten, you learn to draw the letters, but you stop, right? You start to use the letters to create something cool and something creative. I think it's very convenient to get stuck into forever painting these letters, but it's very important to go where it's uncomfortable, where you don't know what's going to happen. And that's the only way you actually push this forward and actually create something that's worth to be a unicorn.
Wow. Thanks a lot for sharing your wisdom. Thanks a lot for sharing all of your thoughts. And I'm a big fan of your career. I'm gonna be supporting you at the upcoming Olympics. And let's give guys give Klen a follow and give all the best and support and best of luck to him during the upcoming trial. So all the best, mate. And thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. I remember actually we had a call like 6 months ago, maybe even more. And I don't know if you remember this, but I was asking you like 100 questions. Yeah. That's how I always approach things. When I find someone smart, I just try to get the knowledge. I hope you weren't too mad at the time. You didn't even know me. I started to ask like 100 questions, right?
Yeah. No, I enjoy it, and back in the day I thought, okay, so this guy, he has a really long and really successful journey in front of him, because not many people, they actually got this courage to ask questions, because many people, they don't want to look like maybe even dumb sometimes in a way, or curious in a way, because I think the only way to become better is to find a mentor and to ask him as many questions as possible. Because I think essentially mentorship is one of the probably biggest ways on how you obtain the new knowledge, especially from the ones who already got the same path kind of crossed, and probably getting into the minds of the most successful entrepreneurs and visionaries, such as the team, like as you mentioned.
I agree. Thank you, Dima.
Thanks a lot, mate.